Hey everyone, how you doing? I wanted to share a little bit about circle time and about holding circles for the wheel of the year. And so in February of 2022, it'll have been 5 years since I've been holding circles and enjoying hosting them and creating the space, setting the space, and sharing the space and sharing all the gifts and sharing the gifts of presence with all those who want to come, contribute, and receive. And that's one of the best, most magical things that I love about it is sharing the space with other like-minded, soul-hearted, soul-minded beings that want to create beauty and magic and love and goodness in their lives. And this is just one fun way to do it and to gather and to inspire and to celebrate and acknowledge and honor and share all of these gifts that life is always offering, always giving, always growing. Yeah, always offering us. And so in the beginning, about 5 years ago, it started February 7th, I think, and it was around Imbolc. And it really wasn't my intention. But I to have like an Imbolc circle, but I knew that that date was significant and it was all about new beginnings and the rebirth of spring. And I knew it was about celebration and joy and mirth and all of that. And so I was intrigued. I didn't know a lot about that holiday at the time, but I got looking into it and discovering some things and just really enjoying learning about these four lesser known Sabbats or holy days. There's the greater Sabbats, which are more well known, which have to do with the sun, the solar cycles, and those are the equinoxes and the solstices, and that has to do with the sun, whether or not the sun, is at a still point, which means it's either the longest day or the shortest day, and so we're approaching winter solstice in the northern hemisphere, which for us, it's the shortest night or the shortest the shortest day and the longest night of the year. And for those in the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite. It's the mirror side of that. And so I thought that was also like really interesting as well. That while we're having our winter solstice, they're having their summer solstice. And as we're having, our autumn equinox, they're having their spring equinox. And as we're having our spring, they're having autumn. So it's really interesting and trippy, like to look at these things. And so I had always felt that there was something significant about those days, about the solstices and the equinoxes, and I always observed them on my own, like even if it was just like, oh, this is when this is going to be, and it just like, because I could feel like something about it, there was something magical in the air about it. But I didn't really do much through certain years except for just observe it, and just like with the eclipses too, I knew that those were significant, but I just didn't really know how until I started looking into certain things, or noticing certain patterns that would happen around these times and how it would affect me personally and how it looked like it affected the collective in certain ways. So it's just curiosity and paying attention and receptivity. And I've always been drawn to what's been hidden, and I've always been curious. So it's just one of those things where it's my love of learning that leads me to more and more and more exploring. And so for my first circle that I got to hold, it was actually after a huge initiation. It was a great awakening for me. I'd had a series of initiations throughout my life and slowly peeling back the layers one by one, which there was a ton. And 2016 November, there was some really, really, really intense energy that was happening, and it was just it felt very, very destabilizing. And I could see in a lot of ways how people were lashing out at each other, and how there was like this new level of polarization or opposition, like just divided competition and opposition. And just the way things felt like they were amping up on social media, and it looked like everyone was being so ugly to each other. And then around this time, this was when Standing Rock, the stuff with Standing Rock was going on, and that just pushed me over the edge when I saw the brutality of how these protesters and Native Americans were being treated, and how the earth was being treated, and it just crushed my heart, and it hurt my soul so much, and I just didn't know what to do with all of these different attacks. And I was just so overwhelmed by everything that I pretty much broke down on my knees and started crying, and I asked my Mother Earth, Mother, what do you need from me? I just don't know what to do anymore. I'll gladly give you my life. I just want to help, and I don't know how to help. I don't know what to do anymore. Please help me. Please help me. Please help me help you. And please help me to forgive all of this. I don't know what else to do with it. And so I heard her answer me. And this was such a mystical experience for me. Like I had been broken open. I broke down to break open, to break through the layers that I needed to break through, and into like my open heart. And she told me, oh, you are so needed here. You are so loved. Your love is needed here. Just show up and be yourself. And thank you for being here. And so that meant so much to me. That meant everything to me. And so I started talking with her. And I said, yeah, I'm totally willing to be myself. I'm totally willing to show up and be myself. If that's going to help, all the things, all the loves I love, and if it's going to, make this world a better place to be in. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to show up and be myself, but I just don't know how. I don't know how to be myself. There's all these layers and masks and all these walls and all this armor that I had covered myself with, and I wasn't exactly sure, how do I just show up and be myself? I'm not sure how to do that. And so I was given some huge downloads. And I remember this night, just all I could do was just breathe and just let go and breathe and let go and breathe and let go, because there was all this information coming in, and it was coming in so fast. Like sometimes there's certain messages that'll come in and it's like a drip, 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 like a slow drip. But the floodgates had opened, and they were open, and there was so much coming in, like I was finally ready to receive all of this. And it was almost like a toroidal field, where I could see like all of this coming in and flowing out and coming in and flowing out and coming in and flowing out. So I just slowed down my breath and just was present with it and just allowed it to come in. And then for the next couple days, I was writing all these things out. And it was all about legitimacy, about how we're legit, how we're too legit to quit. And that was exactly what I needed. I needed to know that my whole being was legitimate, and I was legitimate to be. I was legitimate to be here. I was right to be. Because I always had this old belief that I didn't belong here, and I wasn't supposed to be here, and it was all a mistake. And so that was just what really, really, really helped anchor me, and got me started on this new path and this journey of individuation. And when I worked really, really hard the next few months and was writing daily and receiving so much beauty, so much wisdom. And I just wanted to share. I wanted to hold a safe space and offer and share all of this wisdom that I had received and talk about these things with others and explore them and really honor the sacred of life. And that was really my intention in holding these groups and these circles, was to share love, beauty, and wisdom. And it was all about the gift of life, and about the gift of living, and about the gift of being ourselves. And so that was what it was all about, and that was the most fun for me. It was like sharing all the gifts and giving all the gifts, gathering all the gifts, and setting up a magical space and magical stage to hold this love within. Yes, holding and creating a container. And so that's something I've learned a lot about. I've always been like a super shy person and a very introverted person, and so I haven't really enjoyed being that group leader, or that, like, playing that role of teacher. It's easier sometimes for me just to let someone else do that and facilitate, and I get to just play my little small humble roles in the ways that I can, and that was way more comfortable for me. But stepping into these new roles of facilitator and all of that, I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and it's still like a work in progress, and I'm still learning, and I'm still growing into it. And so it's just, it's been amazing though. Like, when I first started teaching classes, like paint pouring classes and stuff, like, it was a group of people, of friends and family that I already knew, but it was a group, and so it was me in front of the group, and so it was terrifying for me, like, to be on the spot and to be like that center of attention and everything. And my voice would shake, and my whole body would be shaking, and I'd be sweating, my palms would be sweating, but I was willing to do it anyway. I was willing to show up and do it anyway, feel the fear and do it anyway, even though it was like super uncomfortable. And like, sometimes I would be super, super nervous before class, and I would be doing the introductions maybe for the first 5 minutes, and my voice would have that shake in it. But then as time went on, I would just relax, and it would just get easier, and it would get easier every single time. And sometimes I'd feel maybe a little more anxiety about it, but it was good practice for me. Just remember just to have fun and just to play, and not to take myself so seriously. And so I had some tools to work with just to help remind me that I'm safe, I'm okay, everything's good, it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay, like, to be silly, it's okay to learn, it's okay to grow, it's okay to change, all those things. And so 5 years later, I just love all the circles that I've been able to hold and join in and participate. And I've learned so much about these beautiful holy days. And every time, like, they come around, because there's one about every 6 weeks, I refresh a little bit, because there's always more to learn, and there's always some things to review about the magic and the energies and the momentum of these energy surges, and how we can work with them to create the life that we want. And so that's like the really cool thing, is working in harmony and working with nature and working with the cycles, instead of working against ourselves and working against, like, where the energy is going, and like aligning our rhythms with her rhythms, and taking a page and noticing, like, why there are certain changes that happen, and how it all relates to all stages, all phases of creation. And so it's so super fascinating, and I love it, and I've learned so much in the last 5 years, but I still so enjoy learning every single day about life and about myself and about, yeah, this magical world that we live in. And I have a little bit written in my journal here, so I'll share a little bit. I'm not exactly sure what wants to be said, but I guess we'll see what wants to be said about this for the highest good. So it was about sharing all of the gifts, all the wisdom, all the love, all the visions, all the nourishment, all the good things, all the inspiration, the beauty, magic, and creativity, the feminine arts of healing, divine feminine wisdom teachings, the knowledge that leads to wholeness. And I really didn't want to push like a rigid set of beliefs on anyone about like what you're supposed to do on these days, because there's beautiful traditions that there's no one right way. And so that's what I appreciate the most about the divine feminine wisdom, is that it's inclusivity. And that was huge for me. That's a huge thing. Inclusivity and unity and harmony and peace. And acknowledging all parts of the whole. And that's what it's all about. And that's what makes it coherent. And so this is a system that can help us orient ourselves or reorient ourselves, because it is pretty confusing out there. We don't know sometimes our heads from our behinds because everything's upside down. And so in order to realign, how do we turn it all around? And this is like one of the best ways like that I've found like to help me in my work, in my follow through with my intentions, with my creative energy, with my focus and my direction. This is exactly what I needed for me, because I had been doing other practices and learning other things, other modalities, other ways of healing as well that I super appreciate and definitely have so much value. I value them. I value every single thing I've learned, like in my life. Yeah, I do. And I did have an opportunity for several years to work with a beautiful group with plant medicines. And that was so amazing. And really what this system, this Wheel of the Year, helped me do is to integrate all of the wisdom and everything I learned from being with that group the last few years with the plant medicines and the shamanic work and training and all of that. And so it's just so great like that. This is a compatible system that anyone can draw upon, and it is complementary. It can be complementary to your already existing practices and beliefs. And it's just so rich and so fertile. I just love it so much. And there's so many reasons why, because it relates to everything. So, one of my challenges was that I would get motivated and get inspired, and like I'd have this huge vision and a direction to go and a goal to achieve, and then for the first little bit there's that momentum and that energy and that motivation, but then it like kind of fizzles out a little bit, and then I would revert back to my old patterns, which could get me into trouble sometimes, because it wasn't always for my best interest, or for my full well-being. It was just familiar, and it was my comfort zones of what I knew. And it was just kind of like the default setting that I'd come back to after maybe like 6 months, a year, like doing really good with certain practices, but then something would derail me, and then I'd go back to my old patterns. And my old patterns were like addictive patterns, and they were escapism and those kinds of things. And so I had a mentor and a teacher that had been telling me, watch out for when you stop doing your work, because that's when you're a little more at risk, for, like going back into old patterns that don't serve you, or, falling into someone else's agendas or that kind of thing. And I didn't quite understand what she meant at the time, but now I totally do. Like, after practicing and working with the Wheel of the Year for the last 5 years, I know, like, how much it's helped me stay on track and focus, like, on what I want to create, and on my own, like, agendas and my own dreams and my own desires, and using my own energy to create what I want to see in the world. And so that's why I appreciate, like, this so much as well, because it does help me transition into, like, the new life every 6 weeks, into the new season, into the new cycle, into the new stages or phases of growth, as we're always in cycles within cycles within cycles. And it's really awesome to see that as well. If we look at the circle and we look at, how we measure time in certain ways, there's certain cycles within cycles within cycles. And it's kind of interesting to look at those things. But I did want to share all of these things, and I wanted it to be inclusive. I didn't want it to be rigid, because life isn't like that, really. Life is not, like, as rigid as we'd like her to be, I think, sometimes. So I just wanted to share love, inspiration, encouragement, and my love of the sacred, reminding everyone that we belong and that we are all needed here. We have the answers we need within us. I wanted to encourage new ways of seeing and being, participating, playing and engaging, cooperating and relating, co-creating, seeing and perceiving ourselves, and remembering, like, who we really are. I wanted to share what was really true, and the truth of the heart. I was reluctant to be a leader. I didn't really want to fill that role, but I did want to share and offer all the beautiful gifts that I've received through all of my journeys and my seeking, my living, dying, and being reborn. Again and again and again. So all these things I so value, love, appreciate, and treasure. I respect, praise, bless, honor, and acknowledge. And I wanted to share that with others. And I knew that that was a part of the missing puzzle piece, and part of the intimacy that we used to share as humanity, in gathering in these circles and sharing together, sharing heart to heart, and as one mind as well. And I just knew that I really wanted to have more intimacy, new levels of intimacy, and deeper friendships with women. I felt like that had been lacking in my life, and I really do appreciate and love women, and I love all of us. I love life so much, and I'm just so amazed, like, really, by how beautiful we all are, and just by, the love, like, the love that's all around all the time. And so I really just wanted to reconnect, and felt like that would help us reconnect with each other and ourselves, and to life. And so this is a great system to practice, and it does just that. And I feel like it's a great way to reconnect to our rhythms and to the cycles of our own creation, and our own cycles of growth. So one of the things, that kind of made me hesitant about, like, being a leader, well, like, I've received so much of this beautiful wisdom, and I, like, so appreciate it, and it really does revitalize me, and it recharges me, and it speaks to me, and it resonates with me, and it turns me on. It's a life turn on, so it does contribute to my vitality, and it's part of my passion, and it's part of my purpose. And so, but one of my blocks about, like, kind of, I guess, or maybe self-doubts too is what it's really about. Like, I thought I had to have my shit all figured out in order for me to be like, a legitimate teacher and whatnot. But I know, like, from my own experience, that everyone in my life is my teacher. Like, everyone, anyone and everyone can be my teacher, and I can learn something from everyone and everything. And this is like, well, so why do I expect so much of myself? Like, why do I have to have it all figured out before I can, like, be this teacher on this pedestal? And so it's kind of interesting to look at these things to see where I have sabotaged myself, or where I was telling myself some silly stories, and I didn't even know where those stories had come from. And so I have learned a lot just by watching and witnessing, and just by being willing. And so I thought I needed to be, at some kind of official level of knowing and have solid expertise to fill the role of a leader or a so-called spiritual teacher. But I realized that we're all just winging it as we go, and we don't really know that we really don't know. And there are some things we know and some things we cannot know, and sometimes the more we think we know, the less we know that we don't know. So I was willing to learn and go with the flow and show up for myself and be accountable. So that's another thing that the Wheel of the Year has helped me be for myself, is be accountable and set certain goals and look forward to certain things. Yeah, and enjoy and be aware of what energies I do have to work with, and what wants to be created, and what do I want to create. And I get to see that. I get to see, what am I choosing and what do I want to create, and do these choices that I'm making, does that contribute to what I want to create? And so it has just really been amazing for me to receive all of these gifts with just choosing to practice and to enjoy what's available. And these traditions, they're so beautiful, and there's something for everyone in them, I believe, but to each their own. And so being accountable. So for every 6 weeks, it would actually help me to kind of clear out the old and make room for the new. Like, because there's this transition time that we go through. And so every 6 weeks there are these like energy surges as we're moving into something new. And so it is like really amazing to look into like some of the correspondences and some of the symbols and what's happening in nature during these cycles, and how many rich symbols there are that hold so much, that can reveal so much about who we are, and how we can learn to operate with more integrity through the whole, through acknowledging all parts of the whole. So chop wood, carry water, choosing love for me, focused on the life I get to choose for me, my relationships, commitments, my energy, my rhythms, cycles, patterns, and my soul's needs. The Wheel of the Year kept me curious, grounded, centered, focused, connected, rooted in truth, unity, and remembrance. Helped me to reorient and engage with life with play and purpose and direction, matching my natural rhythms with the dance of creation. And now, that some time has passed, and I can see now like how this really has served me and brought so much into my world. And it also has helped me like to bless others and to share so much with others, and I feel so grateful for that. And I really always do enjoy like all of the nourishment that we do get to share, and it's just so nice just to show up and be together. And it doesn't really have to be anything in particular or anything rigid. I just like get to invite the magic and be the magic and free the magic. So that's what's so fun about it. And I always get inspired with like, just different gifts, because there's so many gifts to give, and there's so many gifts to share, and there's so many gifts to be, embody, and live. So all the fruits of my labors, my choices, actions, and intentions, this love all around, this abundant beauty, this table of plenty, healthy, loving relationships and fertile opportunities aligned in harmony, service, and integrity, fun, joy, love, magic, and creativity, prosperity, and intimacy, because I chose this love for me. And I'm so grateful that I got to. And there's two women that still come from the original group, and have had lots of new, and sometimes we'll have older ones that pop back in, and it's so just really cool, just the way that it has evolved as as time's gone on, and how things have changed, but how certain things are still the same in certain ways. And it's just being asked right now to even step it up a little more, and step into that leadership role in new ways. And so I have learned the value of what I am offering, and that was one of the things that I would doubt myself about. Like, I don't know, do people really want to hear this? Do they really want to learn about this? And I don't know, maybe they don't. Maybe they just want to talk and do their own thing, and maybe I'll just let them do that. And I realized, at my autumn equinox circle, and that was an interesting month as well, and an interesting time, but I really did enjoy that circle, and it was super magical too. But sometimes it's like kind of hard to know when to be the boss, I guess, because I'm not used to doing that. I'm not used to playing that role, and being and telling people what to do, or delegating, and all of that kind of stuff. In the past, I have been more of a solo. More comfortable working on my own, solo practitioner, and working on my own and all of that, because I was so self-conscious and so shy, and just so like, I just didn't want like that attention, and I didn't want to do it wrong. I wanted to do it right. And so there were certain things that I realized, and I noticed last time with the autumn equinox circle, and I kind of feel into like the energy and what wants to be and what we can work with, because there is so much really that I could fit into like just a couple hours. Like, but I mean, there's so much that I want to talk about and that I want to share, but sometimes when everybody's there and all the energies, mix in together, and it just sometimes takes on a life of its own, and sometimes it's like, oh, okay, we can do this, and but sometimes it's kind of hard to know, like, where do we take this? Where do we go with this? And so sometimes it beautifully, magically unfolds on its own, and feel like it just pretty much unfolds itself. But then there's other times when it seems like there's a little bit of interference, or some kind of bumps in the road, or some kind of something going on. And so it's just trying to feel into that and trust myself when I'm nudged, and trust my own instincts when it's time for me to direct the energy of the group, because I am the facilitator. And realizing certain things about last time, where I just, I love holding the space, and I love like just getting together and having group connection, and then also having like little one-on-one where individuals can connect in certain ways and catch up and enjoy and yeah, all of that. But I realize that I still have a lot to learn, and that's okay. And going to be structuring things a little bit differently. And we'll see how that gets to be. And so I always want to give the group like ample time to share, and so I want to hold space for the group. But sometimes in holding space for the group, I forget to hold space for myself, and that was what was really important, and that was what I was missing. It's really been a lot easier for me to hold space for someone else rather than myself. And I realize in certain ways that we can't really hold space for the whole unless we're holding space for our whole soul. Our soul. Our soul. I wanted to say soul and self at the same time. Soul. So, yeah. And I know there is more to this, but what wants to be said about it? Coherence. So, letting go of the familiar known to step into a new life, one of my own, a soul-made life, a whole-made life, a life made whole. Unification, coherence, wholeness, wellness, authenticity, in harmonic resonance with our true frequencies. So being the bridge, knowing that there's no separation, and this is about harmonization and balance, and coming into union and cooperation. So I do, have some ideas this time about how to proceed a little bit differently. And I'm still going to give people their space to mingle in the beginning and grab their food and chat and get all cozy and everything. But then I feel like it's going to be a little more structured in what I'm going to be sharing and presenting. And then the group sharing will come after instead of before. And that way, I can share some of the stories and some of the wisdom and offer that, and then we can all discuss it as a group. And so if I'm feeling good about that, and I am excited about this winter solstice because it's so huge right now, just the potential there is for creating and manifesting the new, like a completely different life and outcome than maybe what we expect might be. And so I know it's huge right now, and it's up to us. And so if we can believe in ourselves and trust in life, and remember that we can be gentle on ourselves and easier on ourselves and allow ourselves and give ourselves our own permission to make mistakes and to learn and to grow and to change. Let go of old expectations that we had, and maybe anything else that is keeping us from living our best life and from choosing what we know we want to choose or we feel like it's right for us to choose. And so clearing out our excuses and showing up for ourselves as we are. So there's one more thing that I do feel is important as well. And it's about entering someone else's space cleanly and letting go of our own agendas and our own expectations, or being aware that we have those in the first place sometimes. And it's okay to have expectations, and it's okay to have like our own agendas. We all have them. But let's not be run by them or carried away by them. or controlled by them. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of discerning, and we're all learning how to discern and refine and hone our discernment skills. And sometimes it's just like another way of being mindful about shared space and like the energy that we're bringing into that shared space and how it does affect the group. And if there is more about that, I'll be happy to share that. But for now, I'm super excited to see everyone for Winter Circle. And I have some amazing things planned and some amazing gifts to share and to give. And I'm so excited for everyone who gets to show up and share their presence and receive all the gifts that we get to share together and be together and honor and free and celebrate together. So wishing you all well. I love you. I hope you're well. And I'm excited to see you soon. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Bye for now.